Welcome to Everyday Heroes on Shaw TV. I'm your host, Leanne Evans. Today's hero has made his mark in Medicine Hat one brick at a time. Let's take a look at this artisan's life and his unique creations. Brick by brick, James Marshall has built his career as an artist. He is known for his brick sculptures that pop up all across Canada, the United States, and even Japan. James grew up in Medicine Hat and claims he was drawing before walking.
So I guess I've been playing at art since I was really wee. In school, I was coached by a real nice art teacher in public school, Miss Henderson. And I was in the printing world. My dad was a printer, had a print shop here in town. And my first sort of education after school was becoming a lithographer. And I spent my first 10 adult years in the printing world and did quite a bit of commercial art and learned to be a lithographer. Sort of offset printing in those days was quite new. But after 10 years, I decided to try something new, so I took up a real nice job challenge at IXL Industries.
James started making the brick sculptures while working at the IXL brick factory in Medicine Hat.
Having a little bit of ceramic experience and making pottery and doing small sculpture, seeing all that clay and all that brick, it was kind of an easy artistic jump to think that we could do something with brick. Actually, while I worked for IXL and when we were doing architectural shows, when they had national conferences, I was always in charge of a booth at a convention center, and we had to promote our wares to architects. So I was always trying to come up with ideas to attract architects to our booth. And one year I carved a small mural, and our theme was that you can do anything with brick. And it really caught a lot of attention, and it got me kind of excited. So I just put it in the back of my mind that if I ever got off to doing art full time, I would certainly try to include that in my schedule. And it wasn't until 1983 that I did the first real mural, which is the one in City Hall.
He started to build a portfolio, and after installing 3 murals into businesses, the demand started to grow.
Now all of a sudden I've got some work under my belt, and I got a write-up in an architectural magazine which went across the country, and bazumba, all of a sudden I had loads of work. I really haven't had to do a whole lot of promotion. I've just had it come. I'm the only one in the country doing it. That helps. But it's not the kind of art that everybody wants to do. It's pretty labor intensive. You can't make any mistakes, or you do it all over again. You can't correct. So it's kind of like my pen and ink work. If you make a mistake near the end of your work or have an ink blot or something, you can't fix it, so you start all over. So it's sort of niddly, detail-y work that I kind of revel in.
James recently switched from brick to clay for material due to IXL closing its doors. He says the clay is better to use as it allows him to do more, and he says these murals are indestructible.
They last forever. I mean, brick and clay, fired to high temperature and so on, nothing breaks it down. Virtually good forever, and the glazes that you put on are ceramic glazes, fired into the clay, very permanent. So really, any one of these murals, 500 or 1,000 years from now, could look just the same.
When James is not in the workshop, he sits on the board of directors at Medalta Potteries. He feels Medalta helps bring awareness to the life of art in our community.
We've got kids learning about making pots and doing clay work down at Medalta. And we've got some of the best ceramists in the world coming here to do an artisan residence program. And it's raising the cultural level in Medicine big time.
He has a few words of wisdom for those wanting to pursue art as a career.
I think any of the arts, whether it be music or visual arts or performing arts, all difficult to get going, difficult to maintain, and to make enough of a living at strictly the art form itself. But you know, I keep saying to them, it's not the work and the talent that's the big ingredient. It's tenacity and work ethic. You've got to really persist and be okay with working long hours. You have to know that it's the love of the work that drives you, and you don't do it for the money, you do it for the end result, really.
He says for him, life as an artist has been an adventure.
It's been fun raising kids through all of this. I mean, our grandkids spent most of their time with us here in the studio making things out of clay and learning. And of course we went on lots of picnics and hikes and that sort of thing. We live outdoors a lot. We canoe, we hike, we bike. We're outdoors a lot. It's sort of a balance, out with nature, inside the work.
Thank you for tuning into this edition of Everyday Heroes. Coming up after the break, we will be talking to a visually impaired man who is helping people find their way.
My kids said their mom drank while driving them to school. I worried so much I couldn't concentrate at work. At Al-Anon Family Groups, I found the help I needed. If someone's drinking bothers you, call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or visit alanonfamilygroups.org.
Behind the War Amps logo is a legacy of amputees helping amputees. The War Amputee and the Cenotaph represent the heritage of the War Amps. The children represent its future. Through CHAMP, the War Amps legacy will continue.
Welcome back to Everyday Heroes. Next, we will be talking to a Lethbridge man with a vision. He is helping those who are visually impaired. This is Bill Brown and his seeing eye dog, Jax. Bill has had a vision disorder since he was born called retinitis pigmentosa, which caused him to fully lose his vision around 19 years old.
It's a gradual deterioration of the retina, and I could read till I was about 18 or 19. Then I could no longer see well enough to read, but I could still see well enough to walk around safely. And then over the years, from that point, my vision gradually deteriorated to the point where I have no vision at all today.
But losing his vision hasn't stopped him. He says he can do the same thing as everyone else. He just does it differently.
Like I read with Braille, or I listen to books on talking books. When I travel around independently, I used to use a white cane, now I use a guide dog. There aren't many things you can't do. This deck we're sitting on out here, I built this deck, and I'm very proud of that. It was one of the things. I've renovated 3 houses in South Alberta, so that's one of my hobbies. And people ask me how I learned to do things carpentry-wise, and I said, you know what, I'm not sure, except I've always asked a lot of questions when people did work for me, and all the good answers they used, I put them to work, and that's how I developed skills and being able to do carpentry.
Bill and his wife Linda moved to Lethbridge in 2007. They started an organization called the Lethbridge Association of the Blind, also called LAB. Their goal is to help people with sight problems get out in the community and interact with others.
We have 70 members now, and they're mostly visually impaired. Lots of them are seniors, but some are younger folks, and we provide all kinds of social activities for that group. And we occasionally go to the Yates Theatre for particularly musicals. And we were at the Helen Schuler Nature Center here a couple of weeks ago. So we try to do something every month for this group of people, and again, most of our activities are all subsidized because we do receive funding from various Lions clubs in South Alberta.
Bill also started a bowling league for the visually impaired.
For blind people to bowl, we take a rail and we put it along the left-hand side of the gutter. It's about 10 feet long. And then people put their left hand on the rail and they take, like for me, I take my 3 steps and throw my ball, and it keeps me going in a straight line. And the more you do it, the more you perfect the skill. But we all bowl against our own average. We don't compete against each other. We don't have teams. We all compete against ourselves. And then at the end of the year, we have a final 2-day little tournament, and everybody bowls against their average for 2 weeks. And then all the points you are over or under your average ends up being your score, and that's the score that you use. And then we give away prizes for, you know, first, second, third, and that stuff.
He feels having these programs available for the visually impaired help them get out to socialize.
Well, you know, I think that the experience we have found is that when people lose their sight, they lose a lot more than that. They often lose their friends. Even their family don't know what to do and how to deal with them because they're now blind. They haven't been able to really get their handle on accepting them as they are without vision. And really, if I can help other people to get a better handle on their loss of vision so they can maybe deal with it better. We use the word accept. I don't know if that's the right word, but you learn to deal with it better and start to deal with it in a positive way. Do things you can do that enable you to become more independent.
But Bill doesn't stop there. He also works closely with the Lions Club to raise money for seeing eye dogs. His wife Linda says she sees firsthand with Bill what a difference a guide dog makes in their lives.
I mean, it's just like the independence they gain, and what they get out of it is just, you can't measure it. And so it's just something that I feel is a worthy cause, and I don't mind donating all the time and effort it takes to raise the money and get this, and because I just keep thinking of all the other people that'll be able to get dogs.
Calvin Dewitt is a member of LAB, and Bill also helped him apply for his seeing eye dog named Briar. Calvin says before he met Bill, he had no ambition to do anything after losing his vision 5 years ago due to glaucoma. He says after meeting other people with vision loss, his life has turned around.
I attribute a lot to my getting back into the mainstream of life and becoming social again and becoming interactive with people. And through Bill, he was a major instigator in getting me involved. He never gave up on me, and that's one thing that always stuck in my mind is when someone usually says, no, I'm not interested, you say, okay, fine, and walk away. But he never did. He saw that this was something that he, I'm sure in his mind will tell you that it was something that he thought would benefit me if I just gave it a chance. And I did. I went to bowling. He got me to go to bowling. He offered to pick me up with his wife and everything. He took me there. Never looked back.
Thank you for tuning into this edition of Everyday Heroes. If you would like to tell us about your hero, email us at everydayheroes@sjrb.ca. See you next time.